Welcome to Lift History. My name is Rob, and with me tonight, I have Peach from Design Build Lift. Hi, Peach.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well. Now,
Great.
tonight, I'm going to be hitting Peach with questions about DIY. That's his specialty, as well as his home gym and kind of some renovations. Some things have been going on, some big projects. I'd like to get into some content creating type advice because Peach was one of the first people I hit up for advice when I started all this stuff, and he gave me some tips that I still kind of hold on to this day. So that's what I'm looking at for tonight's episode. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention first that tonight's episode is brought to you by Plate Snacks. If you don't know what Plate Snacks are, you're missing out, because if you own a gym, whether it's a home gym or a commercial gym, you should make it your gym. And as a home gym owner, that's why I love Plate Snacks. It's an easy way to customize your gym. I'm holding up a microgains plate that I put a little donut on because
Oh,
that's just the motivation I need, right? You know, if I'm going to add a half a pound to each side, a pound to one of my lifts, it means that I'm going for something big or I'm dialing it in. And I think, all right, this is what I need. If I do this, I will get myself donuts this weekend. Plate Snacks, that's what they'll give you. But you can get any kind of design, sushi, all kinds of stuff. Now, getting into the episode, let's start out with just a
I intentionally did not
yeah,
interrupt
go
you
ahead.
during that ad read. Just
No, go ahead.
FYI.
I assumed you were just like mesmerized by
Yeah, well, the man with the golden voice, I was like, damn, that was smooth. So
well, I did forget to mention code vintage will save you 10% at Plate
nice,
Snacks.
nice.
Some redemption there.
There
Code
you go.
vintage. Now, as far as before we get into like the heavy DIY kind of talk, for anyone who hasn't come across your page, come across your channel, can you give just a brief kind of who you are, Peach?
Yeah, so I go under the moniker Design Build Lift. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, and I specialize in building DIY gym equipment. All right, little backstory. So, of course, COVID is what kicked off this little journey. But before COVID, I worked out at Gold's Gym. There was several locations here in St. Louis, which was quite nice. I have an hour commute to work and an hour back. So on the way back, I had my pick of like which Gold's location I'm going to hit on the way home because there
Okay.
was multiple, and I would an arm day. Ooh, they got the Strive machine at this
Nice.
location. It's arm day, so I'm going to go to that one, and it's this day, so I'm going to go
Yeah.
to that one. It was awesome. But 2 months after COVID hit, all the Gold shut down permanently in St. Louis. So I had to make the transition from commercial gym to home gym. Now I already had a home gym. I had a Amazon squat rack that I bought just
Okay.
so I could max out and not look like a damn fool.
Yeah.
So I could max out here in my home gym, which I bought off Amazon. Got some plates off some divorced lady, who was getting rid of all her husband's stuff. Got a bunch of plates and had some select, dumb Bowflex 552s, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But then COVID hit, and I was like, oh wow. So yeah, necessity is the mother of invention. So functional trainer let me build, add some cables to the rack, and it just kept building and building and building. And then I was watching all this stuff on Instagram over the course of 2020, and I thought, hey, why not throw my hat in the ring and make just one YouTube video, see how it goes. But the bug bit me hard.
Yeah.
I've been doing it ever since. So
Nice. My story pretty much mirrors that, only instead of with DIY, it's with the vintage weights and things, which, I was going to ask you. So, like, a mutual friend of ours, Kyle at Kaizen DIY Gym, he hit like one of his biggest viral videos was a weight restoration video. So then
yep.
he loves going back to it now. So I don't mind. I mean, it's great. The more people into restoring weights, the better. So, but it made me think, okay, I guess I am like kind of in the DIY world. Does restoring weights, does it count?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, totally. No,
Okay.
if you're doing anything, like, of course, that's a broad umbrella, and everyone's
Sure.
of definition of DIY. And the purists might say, "Oh, you're not,"
Yeah.
but I say you are, sir. and I would even say many hacks are
Nice.
DIY.
Oh,
But
whoa. Watch
you
out.
anything you're doing where you're just not buying the thing, I
Okay.
think that's a DIY project
Fair
myself.
enough.
So yeah,
I like that.
you're in the club for sure.
Nice. Because I mean, it it gets nitpicky too with like restoration versus are you refurbishing or are you restoring? And what exactly, I mean, I had some and still have some critics as far as how different terms are used. What is authentically restoring something? But that's a
So,
conversation for a
so what are
different
the,
time.
okay? I was gonna say, well,
No,
what are
yeah,
what
sure.
are the critics saying? How is
Well, like
what is what you do, restoration or
yeah,
refurbishment to these online trolls?
most of the trolls maintain and actually I shouldn't even say, sometimes they're polite, they're not trolls, they're just saying, hey. And I may have been guilty of it myself early on, of trying to point out like, if you strip all the paint off and you repaint it, you're not really restoring it, you're
Ah,
refurbishing it. So that tends to be the dividing line. Like if you're
gotcha.
restoring it, well then you're trying to keep it in as much of its original form as possible. So
Okay.
that's where like using oxalic acid to take the rust off and retain the original paint. But I've shown through the years that like that's not always possible, and that people have different preferences. I mean, if you want to have a whole gym of green painted plates, then that's your gym. That's the beauty of a home gym. It's your king of the castle, so to speak.
Yeah. No, I
So
have I guess I restored
there you go.
these,
Nice.
but these I got these were kind of beat up. They're
Yeah, beautiful.
they're awesome. I got a
Yeah.
set from 20 to 50, and I did not do what I should have done. I should have done OA. I wish they looked old, but not rusty. I don't like
Gotcha.
rust.
Yeah, yeah.
I want patina and whatnot. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
spray painted these,
Yeah.
and I wish I hadn't. To
Well,
be
you did a
honest.
nice job on them. And you know what I love about those pro styles, similar to Troy's there, to
Mhm.
the Ivanko. And Ivanko might have been the first to do it, to recess that like that nut that attaches. That way it's
Yeah,
not hitting your leg or anything. It's nice
exactly.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
smooth. So
yeah,
Troy has the same or a similar kind of deal going on there. So that's
exactly.
nice.
So the reason I did it like this is
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get them apart
Ah,
because I think Vanco does the same thing. They actually put thread locker on the
okay.
bolts, on these hex bolts here.
Yeah.
And if you try to take them off,
Uh-huh.
it ends up just stripping the bolt. And these bolts right here, I think last time I looked, they were like $50 a piece.
It's funny you mention
So
that. I have an Ivanko curl bar that I managed to get one bolt out, and I thought,
mhm.
wow, that really gunked up the threads. And then the other bolt I can't get out at all from this curl bar. And it's a beautiful curl bar. The knurling is amazing. And
Right.
I want to get it taken apart to like fully restore it. And then someone said that to me, that, hey man, I think they like lock everything in. Like
Yeah.
you're basically, you're gonna need like a new bolt.
I think what you can do is actually heat this up with like a blowtorch, but then of
Okay.
course I would melt off the
Yeah, you're in a
plastic
tough spot.
labels.
Yeah.
So I just soaked these in vinegar. I did
There
not
you
do
go.
OA.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I, taped
And
the handles up and I just
yeah.
spray painted the shit out of them. So
Yeah. Hey, that works. I mean, I still paint stuff here and there depending on, just preference and what I want to do and the kind of condition that it's in. That, or if it's something I really want that has already been painted, well, it's
right.
kind of a matter of you're not going to get back the original paint. But as far as that's concerned, I mean, wow, nice. I'm in a couple different communities then. Now I'm in the DIY community
Absolutely.
officially. I've gotten
Yes.
the blessing from one of the DIY guys. So as far as DIY kind of goes, something I was wondering about was just, when I do DIY projects occasionally, they're just kind of little things here and there. And then it tends to follow a pattern that I sort of upgrade. I get the real thing. So, like, for
Sure.
example, one of my very first ones was, and now it's near and dear to my heart because I'm really into grip and I'm competing in grip strength and grip sport. But I made these pinch blocks, just simple, just
Sure.
2x4s that I screwed together, an eye hook, and that way you can still see some of the chalk residue. I could hook on a carabiner, but then after a while, and especially when I got more serious into grip, it's like, okay, Arm Assassin,
Uh-huh.
Strength Shop, one of my favorite small businesses, they sell a pinch block for like, I think it's $25 or $30. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to get like the real deal.
Yeah. Try before
So
you buy.
yeah. So is that what you think most people do with DIYs? Try before you buy, or are there any pieces that you think tend to be lasting? I guess I should ask. Like, is there DIY? Are there DIY pieces you think that in a home gym tend to stick around?
I think that, yeah, I mean, of course it depends on everybody's pocketbook and whatnot, but
Sure.
for me, there's certain things that just don't make sense to buy
Hmm.
because it's so incredibly easy to make them.
Okay.
Whereas other things, it's more of a try before you buy kind of thing. Like for example, a calf block,
Yeah.
right? I don't need to pay to stand on something that's, I don't need a fancy calf block. I can
Yeah.
just use some 4x4 lumber. So I'm not going to pay for that. Even if I won the lottery, I'd still just use, well, maybe if I won the lottery, maybe not, but
Yeah.
you get my point. But
Sure.
whereas, setting up, rigging up cables on my old Amazon rack,
Mm-hmm.
it was great. It worked great. It was fine. But eventually, you
Yeah.
just want to upgrade. So I got the Aries attachment with the PR 5000
That's
back
sweet.
there, and
Nice.
I love it, and it's
Yeah.
awesome. Did I love my DIY? Sure, but I just kind of outgrew it eventually, and I
Yeah.
think people
Yeah.
do that. Just it's just naturally like eventually you just get sick of loading and
Yeah.
unloading loading pins and then clipping the cable, and eventually you get so annoyed and you're so committed to this lifestyle
Yeah.
that you're like, okay, I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna buy the real thing.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Um, I was wondering about storage too, that like, if I spent the time building storage in my home gym, installing it, I might let that sit there for a while because
Oh,
I'm
sure.
contemplating my right behind the computer. You can't really see it right now, but my dumbbell collection has far outgrown my dumbbell rack.
Mm-hmm.
And the best dumbbell racks for the style that I have, the vintage globes and buns, would be ones with trays, but they're extremely expensive.
Are you talking about the saddles?
No, like
No,
straight
not.
just trays.
Oh, just
So
like
just a
flat tray.
solid, yeah,
Gotcha.
flat tray because they're just so the length varies so much.
Uh,
And so like the saddles don't really work out like the so that's really the best, in my opinion, at least, and in opinion of some people I respect. Deep Dish Globes. Shout out if you don't follow him on Instagram. He's got like
I will now.
a ridiculous amount of deep dish and globes, hence the name Deep Dish Globes. So yeah, he really brought me on board with, yeah, trays are the way to go for like vintage dumbbells. But then I looked at the price and I'm like, man, 2-3 grand.
Ooh,
Even though wood's expensive, I think I could probably build something that has like a tray, a slanted shelf, basically with
sure,
a
sure.
lip that catches it.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of
You
that. I
know?
would say that's one of those things. It's so easy. Why bother buying it, especially at that price
Yeah.
point?
So that's
Um,
where I might in the future, that might be what maybe my biggest DIY project. I made the plyo box that this is sitting on. I made that.
nice.
I made some to do box pulls, deadlifts. I made some pulling blocks.
Right. Another
But
example. Easy to
so
make. Why would you buy them?
yeah, I just felt like I was looking at them like, well, those are wood pulling blocks, and I'm not an Olympic lifter, so really I'm not doing a ton of different lifts. I'm
Right.
just gonna use these for like deadlifts.
Right.
And so yeah, that was a pretty easy one. So, but that's actually my next question. What do you think would be, let's say you're a home gym owner, you just started out kind of like yourself. Let's say you just bought some basic kind of stuff like you described, an Amazon rack, you picked
Mhm.
up some stuff on the used market. What's like a great entry level DIY project for like a home gym owner that's just starting out, something they could use?
I mean, the project I just mentioned, the just adding pulleys. I think that's the first project I made
Mhm.
when COVID hit because it's the equipment I miss the most from my commercial gym. So I mean, there's so many things you can do with them, right? So
Yeah.
you can turn into a lat pull down, low row. You could just, do curls, like whatever, set up two pulleys on your rack.
Hmm.
And it's so incredibly easy. The pulleys are cheap, the cable's cheap, some wire clamps are cheap. Of course, now you can just go on Amazon and buy a cheap cable pulley system for
That's what
15
I did.
bucks.
Yeah, that's what I did, and I live to regret it.
Right. So,
So
I
yeah.
mean, there's a lot of things that have changed since 2020. Some things are just so cheap, it doesn't make sense to even DIY them.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is you got to factor, resale value into certain things,
Yeah,
right? So some things you might save, 50 bucks DIYing it, but at the
Mhm.
end of the day, your DIY is never resellable,
Yeah,
where the thing that you bought does have some inherent resale value.
sure.
So you have to factor that in too. And your time, of course, right? Sometimes you don't have time. So even though I DIY lots of stuff, I don't have time to do every project that pops in my head either, right? So, and I
Yeah.
don't want to wait until it comes around. So sometimes I just buy stuff. So,
Yeah, that time is a big one.
mm-hmm.
And that's what factors in. When I watch your videos, I think to myself, this is pretty cool, but I don't like it enough that I want to do it. Or on the flip side, I think, huh, I can do that. I'll squeeze it in this weekend.
Sure,
Like
sure, sure.
I can, so time for me personally is a big one. And I think you do a good job. And listeners, if you haven't watched Design Build Lift videos on YouTube, I think Peach has a little bit of humor you mix in there. I mean that like dance floor guy, I like him. And then you
I,
also you do a good
quick,
job of supplies, materials you need, all that kind of, all the logistical end of things, and then also time. You do a good job of painting a picture of like, what's this going to take out of my weekend.
right, right. Yeah, quick little story about that
Yeah, please tell me.
dancing guy.
Yeah.
So it's I really wanted my channel to be funny, more like almost like if you got a laugh out of it and you didn't build anything, like
Yeah.
that's so cool. But the amount of time that goes into making these
Oh.
videos is just it's a lot. I'm not complaining. I'm just
Mhm.
saying it's a lot. So I made this one video where it doesn't even make any sense. I think it is a chalk bowl video, and
Oh
for
yeah.
some reason I got green screens, and I spent months making this thing. It's one of my lowest rated videos out there. It made me laugh. I don't think anyone else gave a shit, and they thought
I gave a
this
crap
guy
because
is weird.
I'm the guy who approached you for this chalk bowl.
That's right. It's
I'm
your
the
fault.
guy.
You are the guy. You're right.
I'm the
You're just like,
guy.
hey, you should make a chalk
Yeah,
ball. And I'm like,
that's actually
okay.
I jotted that down. I was like, Peach, I don't know if you realize this, but the idea I had for you is like your least watched video.
Oh yeah, yeah.
like,
It's
like,
horrible. And I'm
like
like, I know this
nobody
won't.
wants this thing.
Well, I know no one would watch it, but like if I made it funny, maybe I could get. No, no one cared. They
Yeah.
just saw the thumbnails. Like, I ain't watching that. What do I care? I'll
Well,
just use a bucket.
I mean, to kind of give a little backstory on the chalk bowl video, basically, um, I had right now my computer's sitting on my Tupperware chalk holder, so I still don't have a chalk bowl. So there are some various companies that sell like a little chalk pot, I think it's
Sure,
called, that
sure.
like kind of
Yeah.
goes on your rack. But then I really wanted like a metal bowl like you'd see on a stand, only rack attachable.
Right.
And I have a Monster Light 5/8 inch rack, and unfortunately, the one that I could find on the market was only for 1 inch racks. I'm like, well, I'm not going to upgrade a couple $1,000 rack just for the sake of an attachable chalk bowl, because it's literally the only thing that I can't get in 5/8 inch. So I approached my handy DIY buddy online. Hey man, you should make like a rack attached chalk bowl and like bounce some ideas off of you. I was pumped.
Yeah, me
Like,
too.
like
Thanks for the advice.
Yeah, I was like, this thing's gonna be a huge hit.
Yeah.
Huge. And
Yeah,
now
no,
I mean it
no.
got like whatever, a minuscule amount of views from compared to your other videos, and most of them are probably just from me. Like I just go back to it occasionally.
You have like 10 different accounts.
Yeah, I need to pump this up.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
So sorry about the chalk bowl, but I'm still on the market for one. I'm in a Tupperware container situation. That is a DIY project I will be doing, Peach. Vintage squat stands that have a metal base and then just a tube and a little bracket on top are very often made into chalk bowl stands.
Yeah.
It's like a common vintage kind of DIY. And I have some vintage York squat stands that I'm not functionally going to use them. So I'll restore them. And then I think I'm going to make them into chalk bowls and gift someone a chalk bowl and then keep one myself kind of thing. Or maybe I'll give away one of them as like a prize on my
Another
channel.
example of something that would be almost criminal to pay top dollar for, because it's so simple.
Yeah.
You really, and you don't even really, like, your bucket works just fine. But if you wanted to upgrade, throw it on a squat stand. Whoa. It's too easy, but you don't need to go buy the Rogue 400. You know, I don't know how much it costs, but like
a lot.
Yeah, it's completely
with like 11 gauge steel.
Yeah. No,
like it could last Armageddon. It's still going to hold your chalk.
Yeah, don't need it.
All you do is it's a hollow post. So you take the top J hook, if you will, off the top of the squat stand, and then you get a wooden dowel like this one, and you drill a metal mixing bowl into it and stick it down in there, and voila, you have a chalk stand. I mean, it's like the most simple DIY project. When I saw someone post to like a vintage Facebook group, I thought, oh my gosh, that's genius. Like that would take you literally longer to pick up the supplies than it would to do the project.
Absolutely.
Like so easy. So that'll be coming down the pike. But
nice.
What you mentioned about reselling DIY is interesting to me, because when I pick up a bunch of old weights and stuff, you know, because I want some of them, I end up offloading a bunch. I call it overflow. A lot of guys and gals that are in this kind of thing with vintage weights call it overflow. And one thing that never sells that I end up with a lot of would be the DIY kind of projects of the gym owner that I bought all their stuff.
They want you to take it so they don't have to
throw it, right? You're clearing it all out. Like for the price, you're buying all their stuff.
Whether because you like a lot of time,
because a lot of times they don't want to separate it, or you're going to kind of like reveal your hand if you're like, hey, I just want that pair of plates. And they're like, well, why do you only want that pair of plates? Like it goes down a dangerous road. Sometimes it's easier just to say, sure, take my money. I'll take everything. So to give you an idea of what I mean, some of these I've kept because I do actually think they're kind of neat. Or I've tried to sell them unsuccessfully, and you'll see them still sitting on eBay. So like this one's kind of neat. It was like welded by the owner, and then it's just a single hand for doing pulley work. But he took, I don't know, this is like a threaded piece of metal and then welded it as a hook. Yeah. And then he told me, it's like, oh, I bent that by hand. I'm like, that's awesome, man. So
okay, no, I don't weld. I wish I could, but
does welding count as DIY?
Oh, absolutely. And like that's like the elite category of which I am not a part of.
Okay. There's always time.
Oh, there is, but you know, there actually is not enough time in the middle of the night to go to some trade school.
True.
That's just probably not going to happen. But I would love to just have someone teach me. That'd be great. Because if you can weld, a lot of the stuff we're talking about, like I think you could actually resell I've seen some really
nice
cool
welded pieces.
Welded pieces that I would totally buy on Facebook Marketplace.
There's a lot of like old school, like I just dropped a video today of like old school gym equipment that came along with these plates that I wanted. That, I mean, the one thing was professionally made, but then the squat rack, the power rack looked like maybe someone just drilled some holes in these pipes and made a squat rack. So, you know, it's there's definitely a dividing line. Or like this is another one for a cable attachment, just a piece of rope. That's it. You know, so it's just kind of like, oh, all right, that's a pretty good idea. Like, why did I buy a nylon rope like this with little like stoppers? Like you probably could have made this a lot cheaper. And back in the 70s, this dude just made it happen.
Sure.
So the rack behind you, for example, this is my next kind of thing I'm wondering from you. It is a result of that. It was, Bob Peoples was an elite lifter. And part of the reason why is he was in his dirt basement, like not even like a cinder block walls. Like it is just straight up like a root cellar type basement. And he created what is considered the first squat rack. He got these big beams of wood and he put it into the walls and made a squat rack so that he could do like pools from different heights, and so that he could squat and do different things in his basement. So that's, the racks that are sitting behind us, that's where they come from, a
Nice.
DIY effort. So is there anything that you think is a DIY project that you know of that then became a product that you admire or that you think is cool, anything like that?
Well, I hope that a project that I'm working on right now
There you
comes
go.
out. I'm working with, and the only reason I can mention it is because PK from Fringe Sport mentioned it in Discord. I didn't know we were talking about it yet, but he did.
Apparently you are.
I guess I can. So yeah, I'm working with Fringe Sport.
Awesome.
I created some. I can't really talk about it yet. Hopefully it'll come out. I don't know, maybe this spring.
Was is this another baby of Home Gym Con?
This is something I brought. So I created something.
Yeah, without revealing it. We'll just
without revealing it. I created something about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And this has been a passion project for me.
Nice.
And I went to multiple companies. For one reason or the other, it didn't work with those companies.
Sure.
And oftentimes it was competing with products that they already have, which kind of, would they be stepping on them on their own, PPs if they sold this. So at Home Gym Con, I approached the CEO of Fringe Sport, showed him my prototype, and we shook hands at Home Gym Con 2023. Awesome. So we're still, in the kind of initial phases of prototyping and whatnot, but hopefully next year my first product will come out. And full disclosure, this whole channel, this whole thing started just as a lark, basically. But as the bug bit me, I have so many ideas for so much equipment. I wanted to use this as an opportunity to maybe get some cachet, as it were, and maybe, walk that into maybe getting some products out. So hopefully, next year, my first product will come out and I'll be able to parlay that maybe into future products as well. So
that's very cool.
We'll see. But I don't know if I really answered your question. And to be honest, I don't even remember what it was.
No, you did. There's a couple that come to mind that, like, for example, actually, AbMat has the preacher pad that's from Garage Gym Lab. And that started just with Adam. He was on Home Gym History, my other podcast, with me, and telling the story of how, like, he just kind of like picked up a nugget couch cushion and then thought, well, why don't you make like a better version of this to do curls on? And then, but I mean, the bringing that kind of thing to life, I think that's really cool. And Home Gym Con, the reason I said, is this a baby of Home Gym Con, is that there's been several different, I don't know how to put it, like networking or deals that have come out of last year's Home Gym Con.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So you're in like really good company.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I remember, I can talk about this because it just came out, the Saxon blocks.
Right.
Saxon blocks that Eccles Gym invented. I had shortly before Home Gym Con, I had chatted with him and encouraged him, hey, you should really talk with AbMat, because I never hear anything bad about them. They work well with others. Like, they just, they collaborate all the time. And then at Home Gym Con, he met Dylan in person and Austin in person, and here are the Saxon blocks. And I think they'd spoken like, via messages and stuff before that. But,
right.
They were meeting in person. So it's kind of cool, some of the different things that come out of there.
Absolutely. And Eric is a great guy. So I'm very happy that he was able to get that product out. That's awesome.
I think they're cool, the Saxon blocks. I took them to Heavy Hands grip competition in Virginia a week and a half ago. Not this past weekend, the weekend before. And I think a lot of people had fun playing around with them. I had them on actually it's still on a 70-pound dumbbell behind me, and they were trying to lift a 70-pound dumbbell with the Saxon block on there. It's like if you don't know, listeners, the Saxon block is like a fat grip, basically. Only instead of being round, it's rectangular, because Arthur Saxon, the classic strongman, from the turn of the century, one of his biggest feats of strength was to pick up these like wooden beams that were about 3 inches thick. And he, with one hand, actually, he would pick it up overhead. He did all kinds of stuff. He would pick them up, I believe, with like people sitting on them. So displaying this like amazing strength and grip strength. So it's kind of like an homage to Arthur Saxon, calling them the Saxon blocks since they're shaped like a rectangle. And they make it a lot more difficult to pick up things.
Now, question for you, Mr. Historian.
Sure.
All these circus strongmen, is there
Yeah.
like, is it all on the up and up?
Not
Or is there
always.
some carnyism going on there, some
Not
shenanigans?
always. There's some shenanigans at times. For example, like I love Gorner the Mighty.
Who doesn't? Gotta love
Herman.
Warner. I have no idea who that is.
Herman Gorner was a strong man, and I just think he's some of his feats are amazing and things like that. But I got a biography of him, an old printing of a biography of him. Edward Mueller, I believe the author's name was, and one of my favorite follows, Strongman Archaeology is his name on Instagram and on YouTube. And James is extremely knowledgeable. He's been doing this stuff long before I ever got an account on Instagram, and he does really cool lifts too. He's always posting like these old time lifts and stuff, and doing them with like great technique and high weights and stuff. But in any case, I was messaging with him, and he made such a great point. He was like, well, listen, that was like his manager, and he wrote this account like years later. And when you read the book, keep that in mind. And I'm paraphrasing, so James, please don't get offended because I am complimenting you here. But basically, he pointed out that like a lot of the stuff that has been taken as gospel and taken as truth from this biography, you're just believing one man's like account of it in a day and age before computers and anything else or any kind of logs or tracking data, and you're believing it as truth, and it was written way after the fact. Like, what's the chances that he remembers that in whatever year in Austria this was the weight that was lifted? So it's just there's a lot of stuff like that. As far as the trickery and things, I could have hours and hours of conversation. There are some strongmen that you can kind of, in some respects, they are performing. So sure, there's some, is this the truth? Is this not? But then there's others that like, it's hard to escape the real deal of it. Like my man, the Mighty Adam. Look him up. He's
but
awesome.
those bearded ladies, they have real beards.
100%.
Oh, I knew it.
I don't know about that. That gets away from strength. My favorite strong woman is the great Sanduina, and she was also, I might say, quite a pretty lady and did not have a beard, and she was extremely strong. She regularly lifted her husband overhead in her show. So yeah, she was awesome. So anyway, yeah, there's as far as trickery is involved, do you think there's any trickery with some DIY projects you see online? You ever see anyone that posts anything and you're like, come on, man, did you really make that?
I don't know if I don't know if they're faking, did they make it? But I think sometimes to make content, people might fake the use of it or minimize some issues.
Fair enough.
Right. Like angles might feel weird.
Okay.
But if someone might spend like hours and hours and hours shooting a video, and then the project sucks, but I already got the footage, so I'm still going to upload it. Like I wouldn't do that. I've had to completely shit can videos like that I spend weeks working on. Yeah. And then I finally built it, and it's like, because usually I try to prototype it before I shoot it, so this doesn't happen. But sometimes you're under the gun, so the first time I might be building something might be the first time that I'm also filming it. So and then it just doesn't work out, and I got to scramble to come up with a topic to hit my deadline, because I try to release a new video every 2 weeks, and I've hit that every time over the past 3 years, except 2 times maybe.
That's a pretty impeccable record, because that's the biggest thing that I've heard several people talk about. various content creators about like the lull. Like there's, you come out fast and furious, you're putting out stuff, and then you disappear for 3 months, and then there's an inevitable apology. Like, I'm just so busy. I'm sorry, guys. I really am going to come back. And then they come back and they are back for a while. And then there's a lull. So, Garage Gym Life, he had some great advice that I remember hearing. This is a while ago because he's been around forever. And, Garage Gym Life, he had some advice about basically kind of making as much as you can, but saving some content for a rainy day and having a couple videos, because YouTube isn't going to delete your private videos. So just having a couple. So I took that to heart. So I constantly, actually, the video I released today was shot in the summertime, like 3 months ago, but it was just like a quick little check out these like old school equipment that I got, that then I just kind of like set on the back burner because I already had like something to release that week. And then as I've had a busy week this week, I'm recording with you. I've got another podcast recording session. So I thought, you know what? This is the week. I'm going to drop it.
Nice.
So yeah.
I try to do that with, if I have a list of all the projects I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Some are quick. Some are just little easy hacks. Some are huge projects that'll take me a long, long time. So if something falls apart, I can always go to that list of little, smaller kind of project. Actually, the one I just dropped, the DIY push-pull sled.
Okay.
That was a result of another project falling apart.
Oh.
So I was going to do that video later anyway, but it moved up in the batting order because I was going to do some pull sled hacks. So I was walking around my backyard. I was going to use a plastic snow sled, a laundry basket, and a cement mixing tub, because I was under the gun from.
I've pulled my children in 2 out of those 3 things. Can you guess which one I haven't?
The cement mixing tub?
Correct.
So yeah, but it was abysmal. It was just tearing up the yard, and the weights kept falling over, and I'm like, oh crap. So I only had a couple days to shoot something. So I had some old landscaping timbers that my neighbor was throwing away down the street because they're moving. So I grabbed those and I shot the video like within 2 days, and I edited it very fast and I threw it out there. So that's an example of everything falling apart, but it's still working out pretty well.
You still got something out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, early on when I first started posting some stuff on Instagram, I just put up basically images of my weights that I had or weights that I was getting rid of, and I just write a little something. I reached out to a bunch of different people and just asked for advice and just said, hey, you have any advice? You got a whole bunch of followers. You're doing this thing. And, people were generally pretty cordial about it. I only had like one rude response. But for the most part, people were very just kind of nice, like, hang in there, buddy. Consistency. They tell me something. You gave me like a college course. You gave me like this 10-point, and you even told me you were going to do it. You were like, listen, I know just what to do to tell you, like, but just give me a little time because I need to type this up. And it didn't disappoint. Like, and I'm not saying listeners to pester Peach for his 10-point like content creator guide, but it's still, I don't think there's one thing on there that I don't still like find to be a truth or abide by. So, where did that come from? Where did you kind of pick up things? Did someone give you advice? Like,
yes. So
how'd that all come about?
So when I first started, I was exclusively just on YouTube.
Okay.
And then I'm like, oh, I better get on another platform to help promote the channel. And Kyle from Kaizen DIY Gym started out basically the same time as me. And he knew how to use Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how, I didn't get it. Like, I'm like, what is this? I'm an old man. I'm 45 years old.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know. But now Instagram's like for old people, and you know, TikTok's the new thing, whatever. But anyway, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. So I reached out to him, and he gave me a bunch of pointers, and he wrote a book. So I couldn't copy and paste his messages. So I wrote out what he wrote out.
Yeah.
And I changed it with, based upon my experience, and
Sure.
I gave you my spin on kind of rooted in his advice. Okay. Now Kyle has over 100,000 followers today on Instagram, so his recipe is good. I have much less because I stopped following his advice. I mean, that's one reason. I mean, he's very good at it. But like, you got to post, at least once in the morning and once at night at least. And I'm like, I can't. I tried to do that for a while, but I can't do it. I got a day job, and I just have a family, and I just can't do it all. But with Kyle, this is his job. So
he's gone full time at this point.
He's full time, and he's very, very, very good at it. And the results speak for themselves. Agree. So
no, I think Kyle, like I mentioned, that weight plate video of his that went viral, and he's had several since then.
Mm-hmm.
He's good at telling the story. Like, he's very good. His reels and things like that. Mm-hmm. Like he does a great job. And that's something that I've started to try to dabble in a little more, rather than just throwing something up there like, hey, check out these dumbbells. So, and there's some truth to it. I mean, some of the most views that I've gotten on my reels have been the reels that I tried to kind of do what I see people I admire, like Kyle or yourself, doing. Sure. So yeah, that start to finish, like, kind of tell the story. Hey, this is how you restore a hand gripper. This is how you fix a hole in a dumbbell, have been some of my biggest reels. And I'm like, oh, but here's the downside, is what you mentioned. The reason I don't do those like all the time is that I got a day job and other commitments. And it's like, all right, like,
it's a lot.
Maybe I'll create one of those reels like once a month. On the regular, I'm just putting out whatever I see. But I did try to do the consistency thing. My first year on Instagram, I set a goal that I was going to post every single day, and I succeeded. Like, nice. I posted something like that's awesome. every single day. And I think it really worked. It's not like I'm anything huge. I think I just hit 6,000 followers today.
That's good. It's more than me.
But like doing that, I mean, I'm in a small community, the vintage weights community, that I hope to grow larger. So I knew from the outset that, like, nothing's going to go viral here. Like, I'm not going to, I'm not going to be some like full-time millionaire, less than 1% YouTuber. But I think that what it did was something that was also in your rules. I'm calling them rules, but your advice was to, like, stay true to yourself in a sense of, like, find what makes, like, your channel, your, account.
Sure. What's your niche?
Exactly. So I stuck with that, like, I am the vintage weights guy. I am vintage weights PGH. That's who I am. And this is what I do. And I think it just kind of got some people to recognize that like, oh yeah, you're that guy. So then what other advice, and it might not be even from that 10,
I don't even remember what I wrote you. That was exactly. A long time ago.
But what other advice would you give to content creators? Because I see a lot of people out there putting out good stuff that aren't really getting the recognition I think they should get. So I'm not saying to say what they're doing wrong, but what would be your advice for content creators on any platform, YouTube, Instagram?
I think, and I could be wrong, it completely cuts against what you just said.
Perfect.
So, and that is quality over quantity. So people that post something just to post something, I'm not saying that's what you did, of course.
No.
But if you're posting just something, just post something.
Yeah.
That if I see consistently you're posting something I'm just not interested in, I might unfollow you. At the very least, I'm not going to engage with it. And then the algorithm's not going to recommend your post to me anymore. True. And I just won't see them, even though I'm still following. And then I just am unaware of our fading relationship. It's just happening,
Yeah.
I'm definitely not the Instagram expert here. I am approaching 5,000, I think. Yeah. I don't even remember. So I'm not like Mr. Studmuffin on Instagram or anything. But
well, then how about YouTube?
With regard,
lots of people there.
I think there's consistency. I just think that if you here's the example. So the 2 times I didn't post something, I could have, but I chose not to, because it's like, if I can't do my best,
Yeah.
I don't want to do it because I think if you post a clunker, that's when people go unsubscribe.
Yeah.
If you don't post, they're not even thinking of you. So you get to
Yeah.
retain
I like that.
the subscriber. And if you're posting stuff that's just kind of a clunker because you think you have to,
Yeah.
the bad view count is also going to hurt you in the algorithm. Um,
Mm,
as far
that's
as I
true.
know, it's just a big mystery,
Yeah.
this algorithm. But that would be my advice. Post consistently, but post quality over quantity.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think what happened to me was eventually I ran out of things to post because I'm only buying so many weights and restoring so many weights. So once I started to run out, I had to start like really kind of thinking like, all right, am I just posting this to have something to post? So I do skip days here and there now. And but it's caused me to get creative and branch out too. And
Sure.
that's what I think I'd throw in the mix is um you don't have to post the same thing all the time to stay within your lane. So
Totally.
yeah, I'm all about vintage weights, I'm all about strength history, but that doesn't mean I always have to do restoration posts or rare weight posts. Like I'll put up a post of
Sure.
a listing that I wish I could get in California,
Absolutely.
because it's cool looking, and that ends up being you stumble on things that end up being really successful that you least suspected it.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Now,
I would also offer that while I think you should probably find your niche,
yeah,
don't paint yourself into a corner either. So every single video I do is not a DIY project.
yeah,
Um, I've been putting out for months because I really want to make sure that this is a thorough video, but I'm going to do a review of the Aries
nice,
and I want
yeah.
to do it before Black Friday. So
Hey,
so that people use my affiliate link
there it
when they're
is.
buying theirs. But
Yeah,
I'm going to put weeks into this thing
yeah,
because
yeah.
there's a lot of advice I have that I
Mhm.
wish I had when I bought it. Uh,
Perfect. Yeah,
Things to do when you're buying it and things to not do, things to buy
mm,
with it, things to not buy with it, different configurations that you
yeah,
really should consider, but we'll save that for the video.
yeah, yeah. Don't play all your cards at once.
Exactly, baby.
So yeah. I mean, I think that's cool, and I dabble into like some modern stuff here and there. Actually, the plates on the bar behind me are Master modern plates,
Nice.
deep dish. But what do you think? This is something new, so I was like, okay, let me ask him this.
Okay.
So maybe 2 weeks ago, I got on TikTok. What is TikTok? What am I doing here? I
Okay.
mean, I checked out your TikTok, and it doesn't look like you've really shot off like a rocket.
I don't
What?
have,
So
I have
I'll lump us
180.
together. What are we
Yeah.
doing? What's happening with this TikTok?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Kyle.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I
yeah.
don't like it either, to be honest.
Oh,
The ability to like add music to it, it's all like
mhm.
copyright free music, it
I
seems,
don't
or
create
like,
anything in TikTok. I just
oh,
throw it in there.
well, see, for every YouTube video I make,
Mhm.
I make sure that I create some kind of trailer
Okay.
for Instagram to promote you to go watch my video on YouTube.
Hmm.
And then I take that same video and I already put the work in, right?
Yeah,
So I'll throw it on a YouTube short too, and
yeah,
I'll throw it on TikTok.
exactly.
But with TikTok, you can't. I usually just put music I like
Yeah,
over the trailer, or whatever. But it's all this like royalty free, oftentimes like foreign like music that was made by like AI probably.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
not. I don't get it and I don't like it.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not the guy. I'm not the TikTok
I
guy.
don't I don't know, man. I mean, it's like it's weird that I mean, like it's almost like a flat line. Like all my videos get 200 watches. Like that's it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
And then it
it's like this
stops
weird
forever.
it's like this weird flat line that like
Yeah.
everything gets about 200 views. Like that's it.
And then
And I don't
stops
know.
on a dime.
So
So
I don't
I'll
know.
get
It's
like,
weird.
800 views or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
then it'll be dead forever. Not a
And then
single
nothing.
person. And then, but like 800
Huh.
views in like
Yeah.
an hour
Yeah.
and then done
And
forever.
then it's done. It's
Never.
gone.
Never.
Never to be heard from again.
Oh, weird. Yeah.
So I haven't sorted it out yet. I was hesitant to get on TikTok for the longest time because I don't know if this is true. I haven't even looked into it, but this is why I was told that since it's based in China,
Yeah.
Chinese government basically can take whatever.
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do with it.
I don't know what they're going to do with my vintage weights themed meme that I put up, but yeah.
So here's my conspiracy theory about.
So I don't know if that's even true, by the way.
Well, here's my conspiracy theory about that conspiracy theory.
Throw it on
My
top.
conspiracy theory is that Zuckerberg started that conspiracy theory because it's competition.
I like it.
Yeah. And he was lobbying the U.S. government to go with this lie because he wanted TikTok out of the game.
Well, I eventually got on TikTok kind of along those lines. I eventually got onto it because I heard someone, I can't recall right now who said this, but I heard someone on a podcast saying, like, you don't think like Facebook and Meta, you don't think everything else is also just like retaining everything they can about you because that's how they make their money.
Yes.
The algorithm.
They're selling your data.
They're 100% selling your data.
Money. So who cares if a Chinese company is doing it or Mark Zuckerberg's doing it?
If you're putting it here, you might as well put it there. And yeah, so that's where I was like, and then you combine that with the thought process you just laid out that like, well, you already created this thing. So you put it up as a YouTube short, then you put it up on Instagram.
Triple dip.
Might as well triple dip. So that's what I've been doing for about 2 weeks now. So somewhere out there, about 200 people always view my things on TikTok.
Nice. The true legends.
The legends.
Ride or die legends.
I think you may be one of them. So thank you.
Hey, I'm here for you.
You're one of my 200.
Nice.
So listeners, if you're coming away with anything, it's that Peach and I have given you some content creation advice, and we have started to plead with you to give us TikTok advice.
Yes. Hit us up.
Hit us up. Let us know what we're doing wrong on TikTok. But before I let you go here, Peach, what I wanted to ask you about as well, there's a couple other things. You may have noticed that I've asked a couple times, like, does that count as DIY? I don't want to come off sounding like a complete imbecile. Like, DIY is do it yourself.
That's true.
I get the concept, but I think I just have some kind of weird DIY anxiety of like, do I get the membership card or not? So I've got a couple more. Does that count as DIY questions for you?
Okay.
All right. So up here, this is one of my favorite little products, and we'll do a little product placement. This is Obsidian Ammonia.
Yeah.
Sweet 15% off with Vintage 15.
Nice.
Code Vintage 15. Link in bio. But anyway, so I ordered their Bottle Buddy, which is this nice little product here. It's got little magnets on the back, and it's got just a perfect little slot there that your ammonia can go in, your smelling salts. And I like it because I have small children. I don't want them messing with this craziness. It says right on the bottle, like 18 and over. I like that I can just slap this on my rack nice and high, and none of my kids can reach it. But I noticed immediately whenever it came, I'm like, oh, he just like 3D printed this sucker. So like, he's a company, but it made me think of other things. Like in the modern age here, you mentioned like welding. Well, what about like 3D printers? Is that DIY? If you
totally. And my son wants a 3D printer for his birthday, which is in a couple weeks.
You're totally getting it for him because you want to use it?
Yes. I said, he's like, should we get this one? It's expensive. I'm like, hell yeah, we're gonna get the good one.
That's the one.
Daddy's using it too. So we'll see. I mean, I you know how kids are.
Oh yeah. 5 seconds,
the wind will change direction and he'll want something else. So we'll see if he's still into it. I got to pull the trigger on it like soon. So we'll see.
But like, yeah, I think one time as a parent, you're rooting for him to not be interested anymore.
Absolutely. And you know what? I don't want to talk outside of school, so I probably shouldn't say this. So I'll be a little cagey about it. Yeah. But one of the products that we mentioned tonight, I don't know why they would care, but they started with the 3D printing. They sent the prototype, just 3D printed that thing, and then literally emailed the company, here's the file. And then that company said, hey, we want to do a deal. So it's a really cool way to get your ideas out there fast
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very interested in learning how to do that myself. So
Very cool.
absolutely. So I would love to do some DIY videos and just say, hey,
Yeah.
you want to build it? Just click down below and download the file and
I
hit
didn't
print
think of that. That is cool that you could like give the file out to like your
for
followers, your
free.
subscribers.
Yeah,
Like, here you go. Here's the thing.
yeah. Or maybe
Nice.
maybe pay a quarter, something.
There you go. Yeah. So
Put a little
just
something in the tip
a
jar. Look,
tip. Well,
got my beak. Yeah.
that's the way I view affiliates. I've dropped like at least 3 of my affiliates so far this conversation. But I view it as like a tip jar that, like, if you're gonna buy some smelling salts or you're gonna buy some plate snacks anyway, then just throw in the code. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
price to you. And actually, it's not. You might save some money and then it rolls back some
There you go.
pennies my way. So yeah, that's a big part of just kind of in this content creator world. I try to do that. Like before I buy things, I try to look and see, oh, hey, this person has like a code for it. I'll make sure I punch it in. Now, the other thing was, what about like just small modifications? So like I just put up, speaking of affiliates, I just put up wall control and put up more wall control, I should say. Like I'm a little bit of a wall control nut. I
A control freak.
yeah, there it is. That's why you subscribe to Design Build Lift right there.
That was the price of admission right there.
Right there. I might make that like the advertising, the promotional reel.
Yeah, be a control freak. Wall control.
Boom. So my wall control panels, I perfectly like had it in my mind where they would go, and I neglected that there was an outlet like right at fortunately the bottom corner. So
Yeah.
I thought, well, I can handle this. I just took an angle grinder, I cut out like a
Sure.
little corner of my wall control. DIY, does that count?
I think so.
Yeah, so modifications, we're good.
There's no like governing body here. I don't know where you're getting this.
I don't.
Like,
I told you,
you're not gonna get in trouble.
I have a weird DIY fix, man. Like I think there is. I think that you are the governing body. I think it's you, and then somewhere out there,
free to live long and prosper.
Kyle is somewhere out there judging people.
Oh, he's the president.
He's the governing you. I would say you and Kyle are the governing body. Like that's it.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so we've gone through that. I showed you my first attempts, my little pinch blocks. Showed you the vintage ones. So I think that kind of rounds it out, my man. So please, I've plugged enough of my stuff. Plug some of your stuff, other than shopping on Rep Fitness Black Friday. This coming Black Friday.
Yeah.
What should people do to follow you?
So they should go to any of the socials, Design Build Lift. I'm there.
Yeah.
I try to have an account basically everywhere. So look me up. So
Design Build Lift, and I'll drop it in the description, direct links to all of Page's various accounts. I mean, both of us could use you listeners over on TikTok. So
there you go.
Head over there. You could be one of the 200. So thanks so much for stopping by, Page. And like I said at the top of the show, thank you to my sponsor for this episode, Plate Snacks. I appreciate them supporting me because I actually use their products in my gym. Custom plate snacks on my 45s, my little donuts on my 1 pound and my half pound micro gains. So check out Plate Snacks in the direct link below and punch in vintage as a code to save a little cash on your Plate Snacks purchase. Lift history. Thanks, Peach.
Thank you.